I see what ho, chaps and chappets, Game Chap and Birdie here.
Yes.
Yes, indeed, fellows, and I would say now we have some rather interesting news, a bit of a roundup, as it were, of Nintendo happenings in recent times, and I dare say we have quite some exciting points here, you know.
We most certainly do, yes indeed. A number of points here that are exciting, no doubt, for all you fans out there. So please just sit down, grab a sandwich or something and have a listen.
Yes, indeed. Now, what we have here firstly,
Yes.
someone appears to have been doing some digging around in the Super Smash Bros. Wii U game data. Now,
Yes.
they may have done this perhaps by a disk dump or some similar method. If so, they may have a private array of tools and things they've used to get the job done. But in any case, they appear to have found a secret conversation in Palutena's guidance.
Most certainly. Now, we already know that we've had Palutena's guidance in there. Indeed, we've done a video showing that. But of course, now this is something extra. It's a secret, if you like.
That's right.
Yes, hidden within this data that's been found. Now, the thing is, you won't be able to find this in the game as far as we can see.
No.
It's actually, but it is there. It's hidden in the coding, if you like.
That's right.
In
It's-
layman's terms.
As far as we can tell, this is just a single individual who's digged this up and posted it up on the internet. Now, the advice itself, or the guidance itself, is quite vague and non-specific. Well, you'll just have to take a listen, fellows, and see what you think.
Right.
Who is that?
I have no data on this fighter. I can't believe it.
It must be an intruder from another dimension.
Whoever it is, the goal remains the same. To fight and win!
Well, there you are. Very, very interesting. Pit and Palutena having a little bit of a chinwag there.
And Viridi.
Well, yes, about a mysterious fighter. Now, how interesting. I
Now,
wonder
yes.
who the fighter could have possibly been.
Well, the very first thing that came to my mind was, is this faked or forged somehow? But I took a very close listen to those voices, fellows, and I have to say that does sound very much like the voice actors in question. I don't think we have any reason at all to believe it's fake.
No, most certainly. It seems to have been put in the game for some reason or planned for something. It's in there anyway.
Yes.
And perhaps it refers, I mean, I'm just completely guessing now, but perhaps it refers to some additional character they might have added in DLC or something. Who knows?
Exactly. Now, there's a few possibilities floating around for this at the moment. One theory is that it could relate to, indeed, DLC characters. Now,
Yes.
of course, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure I'm satisfied with that theory, old chap, because if there was to be a DLC character, surely they could include another conversation for it too.
Well, that's a very good point. Yes, indeed. We don't know how it might work, this DLC. Perhaps the DLC could unlock something within the game, perhaps.
Well-
Which surface is this?
I don't know. There was me thinking that perhaps they could include an extra conversation for Palutena's guidance for the DLC character, but maybe, just maybe, that's not possible due to the system limitations, and so they have to use this conversation as a placeholder if you try to ask Palutena about a DLC character.
Yes, it's a good point, I suppose. Very, very interesting whichever way you look at it. And no doubt people will wonder, well, I wonder what this all means. But nevertheless, it is there. And
Yes.
it just begs the question, how many other little secrets are just hiding in there somewhere?
That's right, and of course another possibility that was floated on the internet for this conversation was, well, perhaps it was just in there to have a jab at whoever's going snooping through the game data, because after all it does say it must be an intruder from another dimension. So some people are saying, what if it's just having a jab at the hackers? But I think that's very unlikely, old boy. They wouldn't waste the time of paid voice actors just to have a jab at some hackers, surely.
Well, I think that's a sort of, a nice little idea, but I doubt that, actually. No, I shouldn't think that's the case. I don't think they're going to go to those lengths.
I think the more likely explanation, fellows, here is indeed, as we said, that possibly rather, the DLC characters will use this conversation as a placeholder in the absence of anything else.
Well, yes, most likely it could be. Or, as we said, could be related to DLC. Who knows? But it's fun, it's in there, it just makes the whole thing more fun.
It certainly does, Elchevin. Interesting and intriguing things there. Now, also on the subject of interesting and intriguing news from Nintendo, it appears that they have been taking this quality of life thing further. Now, you may recall we actually reported on quality of life a little while ago.
Yes.
It was something that was included in one of their briefings, corporate briefings, with Mr. Satoru Iwata. Now,
Yes.
the quality of life at that time, it was not entirely disclosed exactly what quality of life actually is, but it seems some more juicy details have emerged, very precise ones.
Well, they have, and no doubt Nintendo fans will be interested to hear what this is all about, but perhaps a little puzzled or even concerned even.
Well-
because this quality of life actually involves monitoring your sleep. Yes, your sleep as you're there doing the Zeds clutching teddy bears. This thing somehow monitors your sleep.
It's the last great frontier, old boy. Games have never really sort of branched into the final frontier quality of human life, that is their sleep, their sleeping habits. What happens when the game console's turned off, you've gone to bed and shut off the lights, and it's just you asleep? Well, now Nintendo want to watch you while you're sleeping too, it seems.
Most certainly they do. Now, this little gizmo thing apparently sits on your bedside table along with your clock, whatever else you've got on there,
Right.
and emits some form of microwave waves across the space there into your head and
what?
monitors your sleep. It sounds like Star Trek to me, and a little bit dangerous, if anything.
Well, yes. Now, Mr. Iwata himself said this device is going to be roughly the size of a hand, that's handy, and it can be placed on your bedside table. And indeed, as Bertie said there, Mr. Iwata continued on to say it will use microwave transmission sensors to track sleep, with the data collected used to help users cultivate healthy sleeping habits.
Right, okay, so,
Well.
yes, so it's no longer down to sort of, what shall I do, and reading a book or something, or getting mum's or dad's advice on what to eat before going to bed, or just not eating too many pizzas. Actually, Nintendo want to come along and advise you on how to sleep and what you should do now.
Well, this is fascinating. Certainly there is already a similar application on the 3DS which analyzes your gaming and walking habits, but nothing quite like sleep, old chap. As I said, this is really an untapped area, I think. And
Indeed.
apparently Mr. Iwata thinks he can use Nintendo's expertise in the world of gaming to make something fun.
Well, that's very interesting, but here's where you go. Now, just think of this for a moment. You've just been playing a game there, or perhaps on your Nintendo 3DS, or maybe even on the main console. You've spent an hour or so playing the game and just gone to bed.
Yes.
Now Nintendo can see what sort of effect that has on your head.
What?
On perhaps what you're dreaming.
But
or perhaps how you're thinking.
You didn't go there, did you?
I went there.
But look, Mr. Iwata...
Because look, if you think about it,
Look, but
wait a minute. If you think about it,
No.
if they'll be able to tell you've just been on the console.
This is outlandish.
Of course they will. They'll be able to tell, and they'll be able to tell the timing between the last game you played on the console and when you went to bed.
Look, buddy, there's
And they can see what
absolutely...
effect it has and match it to the times when you didn't use the console and went to bed.
There is no way under the sun that Nintendo could ever watch what you're dreaming, old chap. That's ridiculous.
Well, not what you're dreaming, but perhaps however these patterns are actually affected.
Well-
whether or not you've been playing the game, or, whether or not you've been playing it.
They-
Which is an interesting point, isn't it?
They may not be able to read your dreams, videos, but they do indeed, it seems, have some plans to use cloud servers to analyze your status based upon the data retrieved from this device.
Most certainly, and as I said there, I'm being quite serious as well. They will be able to have told when you were playing the game, most possibly,
Well-
particularly if you've been online,
Yes.
and then match that to the time that you put the game down or went offline and then went to bed.
And they'll be able to determine, apparently, according to a graph published by Nintendo, whether you're asleep, fatigued, etc., and so forth.
Most certainly, very, very interesting. And of course, you don't have to put it on the bedside table. You don't have to initiate it. They can't see you without this special thing. But, rather interesting, and no doubt some people will want to use it.
Now, I think that Nintendo indeed are teaming up with a company known as ResMed, which is renowned for making things, apparently, that help people get to sleep and have a good night's sleep. Now, apparently, this device, as I said, is going to help you in terms of analyzing whether you're asleep or fatigued or stressed up, etc., and so forth. So perhaps Nintendo are pitching this as a device that's aimed to improve your quality of life, hence the name.
Oh yes, very interesting indeed. I mean, we've seen them step in, with the fitness thing, trying to get
Wii
people
Fit.
fit with the Wii Fit, etc.
Yes.
People's quality of life, standard of life, health, etc., so forth. Very big industry, of course, and perhaps they're trying to put their fingers in that as well.
Well, yes, so we've just covered the old quality of life thing there, Fidel, so if we remove our tinfoil hats for the meantime and just
Yes.
get back to the subject of games, I think, after
Yes.
that exciting diversion there, it seems regarding gaming news that the company Sharp, which presently makes screens for the Nintendo 3DS line, is actually already in the process of the early stages of making screens for Nintendo's next handheld console. That's right, I said their
Yes.
next handheld.
Most certainly, yes indeed, because you see now, if they're making screens, little screens, the intelligent among us will quickly sit up and say, little screens must be another handheld coming along. And it looks like there's going to be one, possibly around late 15, perhaps 16, we think.
That's right. Apparently this is according to a Japanese publication of some sort, and indeed they say and suggest that Nintendo may be making a strange sort of shaped display, but all that's just conjecture at this point. But certainly it's rather exciting to see that the screen production currently is underway for the new handheld, and that can only mean one thing: if they're as far as making screens old by, they must have a very good idea of what this console's going to look like.
Most certainly, yes, and I think whatever the console's going to be, the next handheld, they're going to have to step up their game a little bit from the last 3DS. The 3DS is a jolly nice little unit and everything, but looking perhaps a bit dated, particularly with the screen quality compared to the, for example, the Vita.
Well, if you mean the screen resolution, then you have a point, certainly.
Yes.
Disguised behind the rather impressive 3D effect is, of course, a low resolution of something like 240 pixels
Yes.
high, which is not much at all, but in any case, with competing devices like the iPad 2 having Retina displays, and no doubt the most recent ones, etc., and so forth, very, very high-resolution displays, and of course, as you say, the Vita being much higher resolution, Nintendo certainly are facing pressure to step up the quality of graphics on their screen, it seems, and perhaps that's what they've got in mind, old chap.
Well, yes, most certainly. So no sooner have we had out the replacement 3DS, the upgraded 3DS with the little buttons, etc., added on the side, then they're telling us now, or suggesting, hey, there's another one coming up within a year or so. So yes,
Well,
they're keeping everyone on the edge of their seats there.
They are, old chap, and of course the big question, will the next handheld retain the 3D functionality, or will it go back to a standard 2D screen like the DS was and all its predecessors?
Well, it's a very interesting point. I don't know how the community out there feel about that, whether they want the 3D or whether they don't. Some people don't get on with it very well, they can't see it and they have to turn it off. But others think it's absolutely spiffing.
So what do you think, Bells? Have you outgrown the 3D effect? Has it worn off its novelty, or do you still love it, I say?
Most certainly, I think there's a possibility that we could see perhaps the 3D removed and a better quality or higher resolution, replacing it. But we'll see.
I think I still like the 3D effect a lot, old chap. I'm a
Yes,
big
yeah.
fan. I do like the 3DS for its 3D quality,
Yes.
but we'll have to see where they go. Now, of course, we also have another interesting item of news that's cropped up here. It seems to me, will you just humour us for a moment, Fedels, and cast your mind back to the figure of Samus Aran, the Amiibo, that had 2 arm cannons.
Oh yes, now you may not have heard about this chap, it's out there, but we certainly heard of Amiibos because we've already spoken about them. But the Amiibos there, this particular one, whereas, Samus normally has 1 arm cannon, this particular Amiibo suddenly popped up being produced with 2 arm cannons. So sort of a glitch, as it were, in the manufacturing.
Indeed.
And of course, this meant that this particular arm cannon became very desirable. If you know anything about collectible items, then you'll know that little sort of mistakes and glitches in manufacturing and things like that can increase the value very, very much.
Well, they're known as errors in the collector's world, that's right. And of course, as you say, Bertie, they can be very collectible because of their rarity. But what happens when we start to see more and more Amiibos bearing these error traits? You know, Bertie, it's not long before I have to say something starts to smell fishy, old chap.
Well, most certainly, you begin to wonder what on earth's going on.
Now, fellows, it appears as if we have had not just Samus, but now a string of successor Amiibo figures, all of whom are seeing some rather strange and mysterious errors, shall we say. Now, one of these was apparently a Luigi figure who was handless. That's right, he was missing one of his hands, apparently.
Most certainly.
Another one was a figure of a Marth who had, guess what? That's right, 2 sword arms with 2 sword blades.
2 swords, yes. So what?
Yet another one,
Yes.
meanwhile, was of course Princess Peach who had her legs on back to front.
Ah, back to front, legs on Peach. Now, what does that mean?
And also, I have to just chip this in, there were
Yes.
also cases and accounts of links being upside down or not even mounted on the stand right, etc. and so forth.
Ah, now what that means, chaps and chappers, is you see, these particular ones, these odd ones, rarities, oddments as it were, they suddenly become worth lots more money, lots and lots of money.
And to give you an idea of how much money, this Samus one sold for over $2,000 on eBay, and that's a lot of money for a toy, you know.
Most certainly, it's had to be on eBay, didn't it?
Well, yes,
So
all
there
places.
we are. And see, all of a sudden these things become rolling off. So we don't know what's going on there, but we would say to you, be careful of spending your pocket money on those sort of things, because it might just be someone in the offices or in the manufacturing line there just looking both ways and then slapping the old arm on backwards and then just a quick telephone call to their friend. Here's another one coming out now. He's got 3 swords.
Well, we can't discount the possibility, indeed, that someone inside the factory may be using this to create a little secondary market for themselves, no matter how far-fetched it might seem. Of course, if you know about figures, you may know the production process is not always as machine-automated as you might think.
Certainly
In
not,
fact, recently, a certain famous figure-producing company known as Good Smile showed a little video wherein their staff were assembling figures piece by piece on a production line.
Very interesting. interesting, yes indeed.
And that, of course, is interesting because it suggests that if these figures are truly pieced together by hand, then operators could very well tack on pieces as they see fit to make a quick buck every now and then. And that's where the danger lies with errors. Because if it was just one error, I'd say, well, fair enough. But 2 errors, 3 errors, 4 now, 5 errors, it's getting a bit too many, old chap.
Most certainly, and of course, we're not saying that they're definitely doing this at all. We're just putting it out there as just a possibility. It could be a number of reasons. It could just be a glitch in the machines.
Well,
but the opportunity we're saying would be there, and of course, people are people.
People are people, and they will always be people. That's right. But there you are, videos. We've had secret Palutena conversations, quality of life devices, new handheld screens, potentially faulty and dodgy Amiibos. I say this has been quite a busy outing of Nintendo news, now.
It most certainly has, and of course, don't forget all the upcoming games that we'll be reporting on as they come up. We've got we've got Star Fox coming out there.
Majora's Mask.
We've got Link on the Wii U. And all
That's
sorts.
right.
And of course, and also if you want to see some of the Captain Toad that's come out very recently, pop over to our other channel, the Chaps Play, and tune in there because we've got Captain Toad. We're playing a playthrough for him now. I think we've done 2 parts so far. Go over there and subscribe. We'd love to see you.
It's rather fun, I say, but there you are. This hasn't even been Game Chat and Birdie. Thank you for joining us, I say. I really look forward to seeing once more the next signing out of my word. Until then.